You've arrived. You're ready to take on the world. The trials of the very early game are behind you. You're kitted to the gills. Your mud armor a relic of a bygone era. Your tool belt is overflowing. Shiny, new tools, still yet to be used. You're nervous. Steam seems dangerous. If this is you, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Gregtech New Horizons. You're halfway home. Absolute power awaits you. This is episode 3, the Steam Age. As usual, first things first, settle in. There's a lot to do in the Steam Age, and you'll be scaling up your Steam production several times. Machines in this tier are slow. It's far better to have some basic automation, but you'll have some time on your hands. Use server utilities to chunk load your base, let your resources double, and get back out there. You have bags for mining now, and if you've been lucky with steel, maybe even a decent general use backpack and a hang glider. Keep prospecting, keep exploring, keep mining, and stockpile water tanks, charcoal, coal coke, and rubber. Bring home those glorious steel ingots, and don't forget the aluminum gravel. You're not done with it by a long shot. Consider experimenting with some alternate fuel sources. Vanilla cactus farms still work in GTNH. Think a bit about how everything's going to fit. Expect to increase steam production by a factor of 40. Yes, 40. Small rooms are going to feel small. You don't have to act now, but think now. Thought about it? Good. Here's what to know about steam machines. Connect them to your steam piping and they start working. But they don't work for long unless they can exhaust. Use a wrench to vent them. The exhaust needs to go into an open block, which means you need a space on at least one side of the machine. Putting two machines beside each other, exhausting from opposite sides, inputting items from the top, and taking them out from the bottom is a good way to go. As a general rule, all machines go inside, or at the very least, undercover. Gregtech machines don't like the rain. At all. Now, here are the basic machines. The alloy smelter, which makes mixed metals. The compressor, which squashes. Extractor, which withdraws value. Forge hammer, which makes plates, pounds dust. And the macerator, which grinds. Hoppers are here for easy automation. Make a ton of them. And now that you have a compressor, you can use slightly larger chests, which can go beside each other without joining into a large chest, and can open while under other blocks. Start making your plates in the forge hammer right away. Immediate value there. In the macerator, while slow, ore doubles, so load it up and stay busy. By now, you've run out of steam on numerous occasions. Factor of 40, like I said. You'll need to make a choice. Solar boilers or fired boilers, or some combination. Steam can scale pretty reasonably into HV if you go with fired boilers, and pretty unreasonably if you go with solar boilers. That makes it seem like a clear choice, but if you're a beginner, I still advise going with solar boilers. You'll probably want a few either way, so I hope you've been finding that silver small ore. But the reality is, the setup for solar boilers is much less complex. If you don't have a clear plan for how to use the fired boilers, don't try. Simple as that. You're going to be doing a ton of mining anyway, and even though you might not have much silver now, soon you'll be swimming in it. And you should also still be sleeping at the earliest opportunity every single night. All it takes to scale solar boilers is placing more in your line. They calcify, so you'll need to come break and replace them occasionally, and this is the earliest maintenance loop cycle of the game. You'll be doing this type of check more often as you get more complicated machines. You'll need to keep a couple of basic coal boilers running while you build these up too, so don't yank them out. Are fire boilers superior? Yes, but you'll need to already know the lessons of the LV age to scale them effectively. Passive power is more easily achieved with solar. Plan for at least 40 high-pressure solar boilers and 8 water tanks to support them and give you some spare water. Think of it as a goal, not a mission. Work your way there, deep into LV. You can't even get high-pressure boilers right now anyway. Just food for thought. Something else you should definitely be thinking about is a buffer tank for steam. Along the path to those 40 high-pressure boilers, you're going to run out of steam constantly. You'll know by the sound the machine makes. It's terrible, and you'll be hearing it a lot. Railcraft iron tanks, later upgraded to steel tanks, provide the answer. Don't skip this. I did, and I was forced to make choices about power much earlier than I otherwise would have. That isn't a good situation when you're learning. Trust me. Any size will help, but the bigger the better. Don't be lulled into a false sense of security if the tanks solve your steam woes too. You still need more steam production. And more. And more. And more. Next stop, steel. We've nearly arrived at the brick blast furnace. Hopefully you found at least a few ingots and got some early quality of life upgrades. But if not, now it's your time to shine. First, you'll need a mountain of clay. If only, right? Seriously though, if you haven't found any of the brick dungeons, you haven't explored enough. You need bricks. A truckload of bricks, and as much clay as you can manage. And iron. Lots of iron. You can shortcut the clay dust by macerating hardened clay, which again, exploring should have yielded by now. And it's something you'll absolutely, positively want to be doing in the nearest future. But there's no shortcut for the brick dust other than finding those dungeons. If you haven't found any, get your shovel ready and hit the nearest body of water, and don't stop mining clay until it's all gone. You'll also need plentiful calcite and gypsum, from lapis veins and mineral sands veins respectively. Use the cauldron wash method from the last episode. And with your new compressor, you can make a bookcase, which means forestry work tables. 100% worth. Just dump stacks of resources in and reload the water buckets for easy concrete. The first goal is one bricked blast furnace, but you'll want more. 4 seem to work for me, but I'm the patient sort. If you aren't, go for more. Not all at once, but work towards them. And remember, you have to fuel them with charcoal, coal, or coke of some kind. Scaling BBFs means scaling fuel, which means scaling coke ovens. More clay. Yeah. But there's a solution. Once you have enough steel, you can craft the flint and steel, which means you can go for the charcoal pile igniter. There's a guide on the wiki, which is an incredibly useful resource you should be using, so I'll keep this brief. Do you want to 10x your ability to produce charcoal without making more coke ovens? Then make it. It's all done manually, down to farming the wood, but all in, it's a time saver. And as long as you're supplementing your steam production with some simple coal boilers, you'll need a ton of hydrocarbons to burn. And even after that, you'll be cooking steel in the BBF for a long time. The other good news is the BBFs can wall share, which is a technique you'll want to be familiar with. This cuts down a lot on the resources needed to increase the count. A 4-stack like this works great, and can scale easily in a line. Quick notes on pollution here. The brick blast furnace is the first thing that introduces it in large enough doses to worry about. Pollution will kill your grass and trees, make it hard to breathe and see, and is generally painful. There are no options to clean it at this stage. You'll have some later and will need to think a lot about managing pollution, or be wearing the hazmat suit, which you can also do now. Personally, I put too much time and effort into building the biome to see it destroyed by pollution, and can't be asked to deal with building all the pollution cleaning infrastructure in addition to everything else, or position infrastructure far enough away from my builds that it doesn't pollute me, both of which are possible solutions. I turn it off, which can be done in the configs. If you need help, check the wiki. If you need more help, hop in the Discord. Remember, there's no wrong way to play Minecraft, and the people who care about the sanctity of the rules or cheating aren't in your world. You are. With steel available, it's time for another tool upgrade. You might be tempted to upgrade everything, and honestly, that's never a bad call. But if you just upgrade the pickaxe, you could be onto something better pretty quickly. Steel isn't quite good enough by default to mine obsidian, but with a little bit of mining XP, you'll be on your way to alumite. Use the alloy smelter and an ingot mold to turn your obsidian block into 9 ingots. The recipe is hiding over in the alloy smelter recycling recipe tab. Be sure to check this when you see it as an option. And use the crafting table recipe to make the alumite, not the smeltery. This is a great tool material for this point in the game. Plus, it looks snazzy, and with enough of it, you can make the tool forge. If you haven't been impressed by the quality of life upgrades so far, you're about to be. The tool forge unlocks some amazing new tools. The hammer for 3x3 mining area, the excavator for 3x3 digging area, the lumber axe for cutting down entire trees, the cleaver for beheading, useful soon, and the crossbow, Dream Master's gift, the true key to advancement. Like every other Tinker's tool, you need to consider the repair material, so starting with bronze isn't a bad move. After the experience upgrade, the mining level is good enough for most of what you'll be collecting, but if you want to grind out the alumite, it's even better. The toolhead material is what determines the mining level, and the other parts just add modifiers and durability bonuses. Experiment a bit with the tool parts for bonuses. Unbreaking is really nice. Or prioritize the look if you want. Just don't forget repairing. If you want to get ahead, and you should, hop into the Nether for a single piece of Ardite after getting the XP upgrade on your Alumite pickaxe, then get another XP upgrade for the Ardite pickaxe, and go back to the Nether once more for a few Cobalt. Cobalt is my favorite metal for a tool at this point, super high durability and mining speed, and you'll rarely have to repair it now that you have the hammer. You'll need a bit of cobalt for later too, so being able to mine it is handy. As for the crossbow, you have to start with the basic one, and the basic bolts, and it's quite bad. But soon enough, you'll be upgrading it into the ultimate survival tool, and loot bags may just gift you some bolts that auto-regenerate. Now it's time to crank up the pressure. With your machines built, you can start mass-producing wrought iron. The process is a little bit wonky, but if you cook crushed iron ore instead of breaking it down further, it becomes nuggets directly. Otherwise, use iron ingots with a nugget mold and an alloy smelter to churn out nuggets, cook those, then compress the wrought iron nuggets. The whole process can be automated if you care to make some extra steam machines and arrange them cleverly. Wrought iron makes decent, cheap Gregtech tools for the era, so consider some upgrades when yours inevitably break. You've also officially unlocked the era of high-pressure steam. Make as many high-pressure solar boilers as you can afford, and keep hoarding silver for more. While your wrought iron cooks for more high-pressure upgrades on your other machines, upgrade everything else. Bags, chests, drawers, barrels, armor, tools, weapons, everything. You can make the watering can to speed up farming, and the clipboard to keep track of your goals. You're also ready for the world of Gregtech Multiblocks, Steam Edition. These bad boys are enormous upgrades. A couple are even new machines that you can't access otherwise. There are a ton of possibilities here, but if you aren't sure what the machines do, don't panic and don't make them. There are a couple you'll definitely want though. The steam oven for bulk furnacing, the grinder for bulk maceration, the presser for bulk plate making, and the squasher for bulk compressing. If you want to wait until the centrifuge and mixer become relevant in LV, that's totally cool. They'll still be better than the single block LV machines, even then. In the meantime, every multi-block has a tooltip that gives you some guidance on how to construct them. Steel multis all require steam hatches, so power is easy. And every multi-block requires input and output buses if they deal with items, and input and output hatches if they deal with fluids. Input hatches and buses do not pull automatically from adjacent inventories, but output hatches and buses do push into them. We'll cover multi-blocks in more depth soon. For now, just have some fun. With the flint and steel, not only can you scorch mass quantities of wood into charcoal, but you can enter the Nether. But buyer beware, no refunds. And the complaint department looks like this. To say the Nether is a hostile environment in GTNH would be underselling it. The first time you enter, be prepared to die. As in, leave your important stuff behind. Consider making spare tools so you're prepared to abandon in the gravesite forever. Mining any ore will irritate the pigment horde, and they come infernal just like everything else. Fire bats are also more dangerous than they seem because you can't see when you're on fire, and sniping them is advised. A good approach is to surround your portal with cobble and mine straight into the walls to prospect. It's tricky to prospect in the Nether, but you're mainly looking for sulfur at this point, which you might even see on the surface. Anything you find is worth mining, but check the vein stats for the world height you need to explore to find anything, and beware of the pigmen. Run if you have to, fast. All the Nether ore is double output when macerated compared to normal ore, so stockpiling copper here can be very rewarding. Here's some good veins to find if you're feeling safe. Sulfur you must find, the rest are bonuses for now. And be sure to keep every piece of realgar you find. If you're at your wit's end, escape using the home command, or turn game rule keep inventory on. No shame. All your rubber stockpiling is about to pay off. You didn't forget about that, did you? And you've been keeping your BBFs running this entire time, right? Good, because you're going to need it all right now. You're ready for LV components. Make them in giant batches. The main frustration you want to avoid here is constantly remaking the same component you just made. Gathering the supplies is a mission at this point of the game, so gather them once. Get a solid stack of circuits, or near it. You won't have a better way of making them for a bit, and you'll need every last one. If you notice you're running low on ingots, process them now. If you're low on raw ore, gather it now. The resource push has only just begun. You're going to use more copper than you can even believe. Final tips here. Base layout. LV is just an improvement to Steam. You're going to be on Steam through most of the age, and well beyond it. Don't tear out the Steam setup. Keep upgrading it. It gets easier in LV. Hopper everything. Set and forget processing is about to become king. Plan for LV to be nearby your Steam setups, or even in the same room. At some point, the single block Steam machines will become obsolete, but having extra processing capacity as you make the transition will be worth it. If you went for the multi-blocks, make sure they're close to your LV workshop. You'll be using them a lot. You can also make the dolly at this point, so if you decided you aren't happy with your base location, moving just became a little bit less of a pain. And final thing, you're going to grow beyond a manual workshop and into automated lines in LV. The scale gets bigger quickly, and you'll be upgrading those setups well into MV. Plan to have space for growth in LV. See you there for episode 4. And hey, stay positive out there.